You're very comfortable not talking positively about your mom, but you're not very comfortable talking negatively
My
about
mother never
Rockefeller.
gave me as much as he did, and that just happens to be the truth. He gave me reflections that I never received
before. Did you ever
before.
reconnect with your mom or no?
I forgave her before she died.
Did you ever reconnect with her?
I forgave her before she died. I called her to forgive her before she died.
When you called her, how much longer after she died did she die?
A year after.
Did you guys ever spend time together again or no?
No, I did offer to come to see her when she was dying.
So how old were you the last time you saw your mom?
I don't remember, but it's a long time ago.
12 years old, 14 years old, 18 years old,
Oh,
22
no.
years old?
I was an adult. I was in touch with her as an adult. And as these memories were coming back and I was working on these things little by little, it became clear that she was still the same person, that it's just like there's this idea of what my mother was, which is what I needed to live with as a child to believe, to survive. And then there's the reality. And when the reality became clear, she was acting just exactly the same as she would have. She never changed. And really, there was no reflection there that I would have needed to emotionally grow. It was all false. It was all a projection. Had nothing to do with who I am. I was like, she needed me to be bland, either good and bland and ugly, or evil and powerful. And the David Rockefeller saw, even Paul van den Boeynants saw things in me that my mother never did. He recognized things that were actually intricately mine. So for my emotional growth, I needed his.
You ever seen the movie Red Sparrow?
No, I don't need to see those movies because there's a lot of movies and they take like little aspects of what happens in the network. Yeah.
Oh, I fully believe that network exists. I am not from the school of thought that this doesn't exist. This is a real thing. I have a lot of friends in this space who are former CIA guys, Delta guys, military guys that, it's as real as it gets. It is happening. The only reason I asked this question from you is one of the recent stories that was, all over the news in America is over Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right.
When you hear the types of stories where billionaires give him $151 million of consulting fee. Right. I was like, well, who the hell gives who $151 million? Oh, he will help me out with my taxes. That much? Maybe $1 million? Maybe $500,000? I don't know anybody that gets paid $158 million of consulting fee. Leon Black gives to Jeffrey Epstein. It's kind of weird, right? When people ask, well, that's the amount of money I
that's
give.
Very, I take that for granted. What people don't know is that I work with survivors again, and several survivors, younger survivors that I know were trained by him. And so...
Who? Jeffrey
Epstein.
Okay. Yep.
He was a programmer.
I thought you were talking David. That's why I'm asking.
Excuse me. Yeah. No, Jeffrey Epstein. Uh-huh. And they were trained by him, some from when they were babies. So just the story that's out there now is that, the teens and everything. And then we talk about... the abuse of teens, but really he was training children of all ages.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet him or Ghislaine?
No.
Never met him, even in New York?
No, I was out. In 1974, I was out.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did you do after you got out? What jobs did you do? When you came to New York, what were you doing in the 80s, 85?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about how I got out, because normally you don't get out.
Okay. Tell us. How did you get out?
Look, first, the week that I was telling you in Italy, it was in Italy nearby Lake Como, so where I was sleeping with all these men and where these horrific things were happening.
Men and women, I think you said to me.
There were
right?
men and women,
right.
Absolutely, but I was sleeping with the men. I was not trained to be with women. I was only trained as a sex slave for men. Mm-hmm. And these horrible things were happening all week. And the end of the week, and this is April 30 is an important day for the Satanists. I'm not exactly sure why. But by the end of the week, I was going to have my I had already had the singing, I'd already had the performance for everybody there. And then I was going to have the ritual that was how I was going to be part of them. Another I will, perhaps. You have to say I will. So you have to give your will to the network, to Satan. And so this was going to be my big entry. And I knew better. I didn't want to do. I knew I didn't want to. I didn't want to pay that price. I didn't want to pay the price that it would take to be part of it. And so I did everything that I needed to do because I had been trained in a way that I knew not to say no. But after that, the next time I saw David Rockefeller, I rebelled. And then I was immediately tortured. I was thrown in a cage, in a dungeon, and tortured for several days.
By him?
No, he never touched. He was always kept. He watched, and he was there for some of it. He was verbally telling me that I was absolutely worthless. But Hans Harmsen came too. And
excuse me.
No. And basically, I was retrained for several days to make sure, that I would feel the lowest of the low, and that I was absolutely worthless. And anyway,
he's telling you this.
He told me that for sure, but also I was also tortured. And so he wasn't always there. He was there a few times, but he wasn't. And at the end of that couple of days, I was basically thrown back into the Belgian network, where I was used another year.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me, and he read the book. And afterwards is like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape, and he gets recruited to a secret society. When you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time, and they test you. There's unique tests that they have at this society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So, I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're going to enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm going to put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I sincerely, I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey, and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.